Welcome to Advertising and IMC, Principles and Practice. Chapter 5, How Brand Communication Works. Let's get started. Part 1, Principle. All communications, one voice. Key objectives. Explain how communication works as a form of both mass communication and interactive communication. Discuss how the idea of advertising effects developed and what problems exist in traditional approaches to advertising effects. Describe the facets model of effects, how it explains how brand communication works, and the key facets of brand communication effectiveness. Traditionally, there are 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. However, there are also some P words that are significant to those on the creative side: problem solving, passion, perception, and powerful ideas. It all begins with communication. Brand communication is purposeful in that it seeks to create some kind of response: an inquiry, a sale, a visit to a website, a test drive. As a class, think of examples in which brand communication created one of the above responses for you. Explain. The Mass Communication Foundation. One of 2. Mass communication is a process. Consider the SMCR model. That stands for source, message, channels of communication, and receiver. Feedback is obtained by monitoring the response of the receiver to the message. Figure 5.1, a basic mass communication model. This would include the source sender, the encoded message, noise, channel media, and feedback, the decoded message or interpretation, and the receiver at the end, or the target audience. Figure 5.2, a brand communication model. The Mass Communication Foundation. The brand communication model in Figure 5.2 shows the source, the message, the media mix, internal noise, external noise, the receiver, and feedback. Can you identify each of these brand communication elements in the Save a Life campaign at the beginning of this chapter? Driving home the impact of a DUI. The expensive gas poster from the Nightlife Navigators campaign intends to create a negative feeling about the financial impact of a DUI ticket. The poster is one of a series of ads about drinking and driving by the AdWorks student advertising agency at the University of Florida. Adding interaction to brand communication. Mass communication is traditionally a one-way process with a message moving from sender to receiver. Interactive communication is two-way, a dialogue, and is where brand communication is headed. The source and receiver change positions as the message bounces back and forth between them. Figure 5.3, an interactive communication model. The basic communication model is modified here to show how interactive communication works as a conversation or dialogue, including shared communication. Notice how the source and receiver change positions as the message bounces back and forth between them. Adding interaction to brand communication. The move toward interactivity. An interest in buzz marketing indicates that marketing communication is moving beyond two-way communication. Consumers can now react to messages with comments, phone calls, or email inquiries, and they can initiate communication as well as receive it. Interest in buzz communication indicates that marketing communication is moving beyond two-way communication. Consumers can now react to messages with comments, phone calls, email inquiries, initiate communication, as well as receive it. Adding interaction to brand communication. The move toward interactivity. Advertisers must learn to receive or listen to as well as send messages to customers. Word of mouth. Buzz marketing and social media are indicators of the need for message integration. Adding interaction to brand communication. Interactive communication is a building block of the customer brand experience. It can determine the likelihood of repeat business and brand loyalty. As a class, check out the inside story on Office Depot. What did go wrong at Office Depot? Other aspects of communication. Nonverbal communication can be just as powerful as word-based forms. Many commercials rely on the impact of compelling visuals. Brand signals include slogans, but are dominated by logos, imagery, and color. Cues and signals are used in commercial communication to help structure a consumer's meaning-making process. The effects behind effectiveness. Above all, brand communication must be purposeful. It must have some effect on the people who read or see it. The impact is known as effects. The desired impact is formally stated as a set of objectives or statements of measurable goals and results. What impact did the communication have on receivers of the message? Effectiveness leads to desired impact. Chrysler and its agency Whedon and Kennedy, the source, sought to convince American car buyers, particularly those who buy imports, the receivers, that they no longer have to cross oceans to get what they can have from these shores. The effects behind effectiveness. 2 traditional approaches to describe impact. AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action. Think, feel, do. Think about the message, feel something about the brand, then do something, such as try it or buy it. The effects behind effectiveness. Problems with traditional approaches. They presume a predictable process for consumers. Some effects are missing, such as habit or impulse. Ultimately, brand communication is the most important consideration. The challenge, cutting through the clutter. As you can see from this landscape photo of Times Square, ad clutter is a major hurdle to gaining audience attention. The facets of impact. The facets model of effects does a more complete job of explaining how advertising creates consumer responses. Consumers are loyal to brands that say something about them as human beings. The facets model of effects is useful both in settling objectives and evaluating advertising effectiveness. The facets model of effects. Effective advertising creates 6 types of consumer responses. Awareness, the perception facet. Feel, the affective or emotional facet. Think, understand, the cognitive facet. Connect, the association facet. Believe, the persuasion facet. And act, do, the behavior facet. The facets model of effects, 3 of 3. Think of these 6 effects as facets that come together to make up a unique consumer response to a brand message. The effects are holistic in the sense that they lead to an impression or an integrated perception. The perception facet, awareness. Perception, the process by which we receive information through our 5 senses and assign meaning to it. For an advertisement to be effective, it first must be noticed or at least register on some minimal level on our senses. Awareness results when a brand message makes an impression, when something registers. The perception facet, awareness. Factors that drive perception. Consumers select messages to which they pay attention by using selective perception. Exposure. Media planners want consumers to see or hear the message. Selection and attention. By using selective attention, consumers choose to attend to the message. Interest. The receiver is mentally engaged with the ad or product. It's also known as stickiness. The perception facet, awareness. Factors that drive perception. Relevance. The message connects on some personal level. Curiosity. Results from questioning and wanting to know more. Recognition. People remember seeing the ad. Recall means they remember what the ad said. The Peace Corps gets creative. This ad for the Peace Corps connects on some personal level. The Peace Corps launched a national recruiting campaign with the theme, See Yourself in Someone Else. It was designed to address more relevant personal issues for potential volunteers and tell them how the volunteer experience would enrich their lives. The perception facet, Awareness. The synergy requirement. Using an IMC approach, marketers coordinate all marketing communication messages to create synergy. This means individual messages have more impact working jointly than they would on their own. The perception facet. Awareness. The subliminal issue. Subliminal effects are message cues given below the threshold of perception. Subliminal messages are designed to get past your perceptual filters by talking directly to your subconscious. Critics who believe in subliminal advertising consider it to be unfair manipulation of unaware viewers. The perception facet. Awareness. A liquor advertising campaign showed ice cubes with shapes in them and deliberately called attention to these supposedly subliminal messages. The emotional facet. Feel. Effective responses mirror our feelings about something, whether it's anger, love, fear, or hate. Effective describes something that stimulates wants, touches the emotions, and elicits feelings. Brand messages can arouse a range of positive and negative emotions. The emotion facet. Feel. Factors that drive emotion. Wants and desires are driven by emotions and based on wishes, longings, and cravings. Excitement is a step above interest in terms of intensity of response. Our emotions, or passions, are aroused. Feelings are addressed with emotional appeals based on humor, love, or fear. The emotion facet. Feel. Factors that drive emotion. Liking. If you like the ad, those positive feelings transfer to the brand. Resonance. A feeling that the message rings true. The cognitive facet. Think, understand. Cognition refers to how consumers search for and make sense of information and learn and understand something. It is a rational response to a message that comes from thinking something through. The cognitive facet. Think, understand. Factors that drive cognition. Need. Ad messages describe something missing in the consumer's life. Cognitive learning. Presenting facts, information, and explanations that lead to understanding. Comprehension. The process by which we understand, make sense of things, or acquire knowledge. McDonald's. Building needs or wants. Needs are basic biological motivations, but they may also be something you think about. Wants tend to be based more on feelings and desires. Looking at this ad, do you believe it's appealing based on needs or wants? Explain your thinking. The cognitive facet. Think, understand. Factors that drive cognition. Differentiation. The consumer's ability to distinguish between competing brands based on understanding a competitive advantage. Recall. A measure of learning or understanding. One remembers the ad, the brand, and copy points. Thinking and feeling. Notice that these two factors work together. The association facet. Connect. Association means using symbols to communicate. It is a primary tool used in brand communication. Factors that drive association. Brand linkage reflects the degree to which associations in the message and consumer interests connect to the brand. Symbolism. A brand takes on a symbolic meaning. It stands for certain, usually abstract qualities. Coke puts symbolism to work in Japan. Symbolism is used on the front of Coke's Hug Me vending machine in Japan. The association facet. Connect. Factors that drive association. Conditioned learning. Thoughts and feelings become linked to the brand through repetition of the message. Transformation. A product takes on meaning, it is transformed into something special. The persuasion facet. Believe. Persuasion. Constantly influencing or motivating the receiver of a message to believe or do something. Attitude is an inclination to react in a given way. When people are convinced of something, their attitudes are expressed as beliefs. Canada works to motivate and influence. Canada used ads on YouTube titled "Waking Up Canadian" to inform former Canadians of the Canadian government's Citizenship Act. The act was designed to restore citizenship to thousands of unsuspecting foreigners, making them Americans. The persuasion facet. Believe. Factors that drive persuasion. Motivation. Something prompts one to act in a certain way. Influence. Opinion leaders may influence others' attitudes. Word of mouth is created by strategies that engage influencers. Involvement. The degree to which one attends to messages and how they make product decisions. The persuasion facet. Believe. Factors that drive persuasion. Engagement. The consumer is turned on. Conviction. Consumers agree with a message and achieve a state of certainty or belief about a brand. Preference and intention. Here consumers are motivated by conviction. The persuasion facet. Believe. Factors that drive persuasion. Brand loyalty involves attitude, emotion, and action. It's built on customer satisfaction. Believability and credibility. Believability refers to credibility of the message. Credibility, trustworthiness of the source. And source credibility, the person delivering the message is respected, trusted, and believable. The behavior facet. Act and do. Behavior is an action response. It can involve a number of actions, including trying or buying the product, visiting a store, returning an inquiry card, calling a toll-free number, or clicking on a website. Billings seeks to influence consumer behavior. The Billings Trailhead campaign used weekly drawings with the winners receiving Trailhead caps and the grand prize winner receiving dinner and 2 nights at the Crown Plaza Hotel. The behavior facet. Act, do. Direct action represents an immediate response. Indirect action is a delayed response. Flash mobs demonstrate the power of the internet and buzz to engage people and drive them into action. U.S. government propaganda during World War I. Designed to inspire action, this ad was used during World War I to convince young people to join the military. The behavior facet. Act, do. Factors that drive the behavioral response. Mental rehearsal. Advertising attempts to create virtual memories or things we can imagine ourselves doing. Trial. This is important for new or expensive products. Buying. Advertising can stimulate sales by the call to action. The behavior facet. Act, do. Factors that drive the behavioral response. Contacting. Consumers respond by contacting the advertiser. Advocating and referrals. Advocacy means speaking out on a brand's behalf. Referrals occur when a satisfied customer recommends a favorite brand. Prevention. Negative messages about an unwanted behavior with incentives to stimulate the desired behavior. The power of brand communication. Interaction and impact. Reviewing the facets of effects model. When its 6 factors work together, they can create a coherent brand perception. However, we must remember that the effects are interdependent and they are not all equal for all marketing communication situations. Strong and weak effects. The strong theory. Advertising can persuade people who had never bought a brand to buy it once and then repeatedly. The weak theory. Advertising has a limited impact on consumers, and it's best used to reinforce existing brand perceptions. Delayed effects. A consumer may see or hear an advertisement but not act on that message until a later date. Looking ahead, this chapter focused on the effects of brand communication. In other words, how does the consumer relate to the brand and respond to the brand message? Chapter 6 addresses consumer insight and consumer behavior, which leads to targeting and segmenting the audience for a brand message. It's a wrap. Creating ideas that stick. Selling an idea is challenging enough. Convincing people to start with their blood defies conventional behavior and makes the job seemingly impossible. Graham Douglas convinced enough people to become bone marrow donors to save 10,000 lives a year. It's a wrap. Creating ideas that stick. Douglas invented a product, found a pharmaceutical company that would sell it, and created a bizarre online video to market the bandages and donor combination kit. CBS, ABC, and CNN picked up on the story and multiplied its impact by adding stories about other people. The number of media impressions has surpassed 75 million and continues to grow. Hey, thanks for watching. Please check out the other videos in this marketing series. Thanks again.